You think Disneyland is where dreams come true, until you stay long enough to see what happens behind our backs. I'll tell you 3 stories, and you'll want to stay till the last one, because that's when things stop feeling like stories. You know how Disneyland is called the happiest place on earth? Well, it's not. Not always. And I learned that when I met the man who never stopped smiling. It was last summer. My cousin and I went to Disneyland for her birthday. She'd been obsessed with going since we were kids. Everything felt perfect. The colors, the lights, the people. But when we entered Main Street, I noticed a man standing by the popcorn stand. He was wearing one of those vintage Disney employee vests, except his looked off, faded, too old to be in use. He smiled at everyone who walked by, but no one smiled back, like they didn't even see him. I told my cousin, but when I pointed, he wasn't there anymore. We laughed it off, said maybe he worked backstage or something. A few hours later, we got lost trying to find the exit during the fireworks. The crowd was too loud, too many people. That's when I saw him again. Same vest, same smile. Only this time, he was closer, and he said my name, quietly, like he'd been waiting all night. "How did you know my name?" I asked. He tilted his head, still smiling. "You came here 10 years ago," he said. "You dropped your map near the fountain." My heart stopped. I was 8 back then, and I had dropped my map that day. I remember crying about it, but that was a decade ago. I told my cousin. She looked confused. "What man?" she said. I turned back, and he was gone again. That night, I checked my photos. Every single one had him in the background, watching, smiling. But when I showed them to my cousin, he wasn't in her copies, just mine. I never went back to Disneyland after that, but sometimes I still get notifications from the Disneyland app. Welcome back, even though I haven't been there in years. What if some people never leave the happiest place on earth? I met her at Disneyland. She said her name was May. She had this soft lavender hair, freckles that looked like tiny stars, and a vintage film camera she wore like jewelry. There was something about her, calm, quiet, but familiar. We met while standing in line for the Haunted Mansion. I remember how the sun hit her eyes when she turned to me. There was a kind of sadness there that didn't match the place. She smiled when I caught her looking. "You came here alone too?" she asked. I nodded. I told her I just needed a break from reality for a day. She laughed, a small, tired laugh. "Yeah," she said. "That's why I come every weekend." At first, she felt like a friend I had known for years. We walked together all day, eating churros, laughing at kids in Mickey ears, taking pictures in front of the castle. But May didn't take pictures of the rides or the lights. She only took pictures of people's faces. I asked her why. She said, "Because sometimes when people smile, they forget their eyes are telling a different story." I didn't really understand it, but I didn't push. Later that night, we sat by the fountain near the Sleeping Beauty castle. The crowd was fading. The park lights were turning that soft golden color that makes everything look dreamlike. May leaned her head on my shoulder. She whispered, "Can I show you something?" She opened her camera, an old one, film still inside, and scrolled through her photos, hundreds of them. All of strangers smiling, but something was wrong. In every single photo behind the people, there was a faint reflection. The same shadow. The same shape. A man. Watching. Standing exactly in the same spot, even when the photos were taken in different places. I laughed nervously. "That's creepy," I said. "You must have edited them." But she looked serious. "He's been here for years," she whispered. "He doesn't move. He just watches. The next morning, I went back to the park to meet her again. I texted, called, waited, no answer. So I went to the same spot near the fountain, and there she was. Or at least, someone who looked like her. Except she wasn't wearing lavender. Her hair was dark brown. No freckles. No camera. "Are you May?" I asked, confused. She looked startled. "That's my sister's name," she said. "She used to work here, but she passed away 2 years ago." My stomach dropped. That night, I checked the photos she sent me, and in one of them, taken just before she disappeared, I finally saw it clearly, the man in the background. He was standing next to her, but his hand was on my shoulder. Some smiles belong to the living. Others are just memories that never faded. The photo that changed faces. When I was 14, my dad took me and my little sister to Disneyland. It was supposed to be our first family trip since my mom passed away. He kept saying it was time to smile again, but honestly, everything about that trip felt wrong. The air was hot and heavy. Even the music felt a little slower than usual. We went on rides, ate ice cream, and took pictures, hundreds of them. Dad wanted us to make memories, but the one picture that stuck with me wasn't the one he meant to take. It was at Sleeping Beauty's castle. A Disney photographer had offered to capture us with the castle behind. My sister was giggling, her Mickey ears slipping off. I remember Dad putting his arm around us, trying to look happy for the camera. Flash, smile, done. But when we picked up the photo later that day, my sister looked different. Not like a glitch, not blurry. Her smile was too wide, and her eyes, they weren't hers. They were looking straight into the lens, straight through it. Dad laughed it off and said it was the lighting. But that night, back in the hotel, I heard her whispering. I thought she was talking in her sleep until I caught the words, "She said I looked prettier now, that she fixed it." When I turned on the light, she was sitting up in bed, staring at that same photo in her hands. I told Dad in the morning, but he said she probably dreamed it. Except when we went back to the park the next day, that photographer wasn't there. The stand was empty, and the staff said no one matching his description worked there. A few months later, my sister started avoiding mirrors. She said sometimes her reflection smiled before she did. Dad thought it was grief. Maybe it was. But a few years later, after we'd both grown up, I found that old photo in a drawer. The castle was still there, faded around the edges. Dad still had that forced smile, but my sister's face was blank. No eyes, no mouth, just smooth skin, as if someone had erased her. And the back of the photo had fresh fingerprints on it. I know you probably won't believe me, but trust me,